Hey everybody, Heather here. So today we're going to be coloring this super cute Stamping Bella image called Millie and Milo Exchange Prezzies, and I'll put a link to the card kit down in the description box. This kit, actually, I think this is the most colors I've ever used on a kit because I've done 38 colors for this one, and I usually have them all in my coffee cup, and they don't, there's a whole pile that don't fit in there, so this is quite a few in this cute little image. So we're going to have some fun using lots of different colors. So I've already stamped my image on Nina 80-pound Solar White cardstock with Memento Tuxedo Black ink. So let's color. Alright, so let's start out by outlining our image, and for that we're going to use C0, and I just go clear around my characters. So I'm just going to take my C0 and quickly, and I get the little balloon string there. Same for this one. Let's go ahead and go all the way up the balloon string so I don't forget. And I'm going to do her little hair here too. And we'll go all the way around. And this, for me, once it dries, you hardly see it, but it makes the image, for me, pop off the page just a little bit, so it doesn't look quite so flat. And work our way down to the bottom. And don't worry about going underneath of their feet because I'm going to put some ground on there for them to stand on, so it would just cover it up anyway. I'll do the same thing for this little guy. And his hair's kind of missing some spots there, so I just kind of went down kind of in between some. And when I color his hair, it's going to cover some of that up. And I don't worry if I get some on him. If I made a huge spot on him, I would use my colorless blender to erase it. But if I got a little bit, I don't worry about that. So next, let's give them something to stand on. And for that, we're going to use W2, W1, and W0. I'm going to start with W2. And I just want to touch down right next to this girl's shoe, Millie's shoe here, and just lightly flick away from her shoe. And I get a little bit in between her legs there because her shoe goes up a little bit. And we'll do this little guy. And I'm needing to refill my pen. I see it's getting kind of sketchy there. So we'll do that later. Make sure to refill that. Next we're going to grab W1. We're going to go right over the top of that W. Oh yeah, this is pinned a lot fuller than that last one. Go right over the top of our W2 and just flick right across. Smooth all those lines out. And then W0 to finish it off. And then I'm going to grab my W2 again and add a little bit more shadows back in there. And just work my way over to this side. Next, let's work on their skin, and for that I'm going to use E21, E00, E000, and for their cheeks I'm going to use R20 and R30. I'm going to start with E21, and let's quickly do their little hands right here. Let me zoom in a little bit. So I'm going to go on my girl's hands, I'm going to go right next to her sleeve, and then where her fingers are touching her hand and along the bottom of her hand. Then I'm going to give each little finger just a tiny little dab at the bottom. And then for this hand, I'm going to go underneath of her sleeve and kind of around her thumb and along the bottom of these little fingers here. And then this little guy, he's got just a couple little fingers you can see on the edge of the box. And then for his hand, I'm going to do his hand along the bottom and then do a couple of these fingers over here. And let's go ahead and do their neck too, as long as we're working on it a little bit. So let's do that, and then for her, I'm going to do this side. That. Then I'm going to go ahead with E00, and I'm going to fill her hand all the way in. There's just, such a small area that we're not going to do the third color on their fingers and their hands or their neck. We'll leave that for their face. Then I'm going to grab E21 again, and let's go up here and do a Millie. So I'm going to do her little ear right here too. She's got a little ear showing, same for this side. And then let's go right along the edge of her face. And up here underneath of her hair. And for this side, let's go up like this, and we'll do a little bit on this little streak of hair she's got. And then I gave her a little bit of a nose definition, so right here I'm going to do a little streak for her nose. Then I'm going to grab E00 and I'm going to fill her ear in. Same for this side. And then I want to touch down on my E21 and I want to flick towards the middle of her face. I'm going to do this side for nose bump. And then I'm going to grab E00. I'm going to brush all the way across just to soften it all together. And we'll come back and do her cheeks in a minute. So over here I'm going to again grab E21 and we want to do a Milo. So let's do inside of his ear. And then I'm going to outline his face too. Up here on his hairline. And then for his nose, I made him have a little bump on this side. And then E00. I think I'll leave a little white on the top of that ear. Same with that side. And then again, flick right on top of your 21 and pull towards the center. And again, don't forget his nose. And this side over here. Okay. And then E00 to fill it all the way in. Don't forget his ear. And then I'm just going to brush all the way across his face. And after I do the cheeks, I'm going to come back and do it again, so I'm not worried if it's blotchy. So now for her, I'm going to give her some, well, I guess he's not going to have cheeks, only she's going to have the rosy cheeks. So we're going to start with R20. I'm going to give her a little rosy cheek. That, and then I'm going to take R30 and go over the edges. Then I'm going to grab E00 and I'm just going to flick from the center or from the edge of her face towards the middle, going over those cheeks. And then I'm going to take E00 and go over the whole thing. And then for him, I'm going to again grab my E00. I'm going to make his face a little bit darker. And go from the edge of his face and flick towards the middle. And this will help soften those lines too. And then take E00 to wipe across the entire thing. And you could give him rosy cheeks too. I just decided this time I wouldn't do that for the little boy. So next, let's work on Milo's hair. And for that, we're going to use E47, E27, and E25. And then let's start with E47. And he doesn't really have any part or anything in there, and I left it that way. So what I did is I'm going to just take each one of these little streaks, little spazzy looking pokey things he's got on his hair, and I'm just going to go like this. And let's do this one. And I tried to make my lines go in the direction that the lines were going. So like this one, we're going to kind of go like this. And then we better do a couple, whoops, let me go up a little bit. Right here. Like that. And then I'm going to grab E27. And I'm just going to do the same thing, only I'm going to move over so that it's in a little bit different area. And then I'm going to finish it off with E25. Just like that, and I left all the white spaces and everything in there. I just wanted it to have a completely whimsical, straggly, I didn't brush my hair look. For her hair, we're going to use E09, E97, and E99. I'm going to start with E09, and let's go ahead and give her a part right here. So I'm going to pull all my streaks from that direction. So I'm going to start over here and just add a few where this little ponytail wrapper is. And I didn't actually color her hair up here. You could if you wanted to. I just left them the line drawing. And let's do this little curly Q here and pull a couple of streaks up from that. Same for this one. Get behind her ear a little bit. And then from this part, I want to pull away from that part a little bit. And I think that looks pretty good. So I'm going to grab E97. And get the rest of this little curly Q she's got going on down there. And just work my way around. And I'm going to finish it off with E99. Whoops, I should have maybe done the E97 last. Okay, so let's put just a few of these streaks in there. I don't know why I thought this one was lighter. Okay, so now grab your E97 and we're going to fill in this space here. And then I'm going to add a few dark streaks back in with my E09. Next, let's work on her shirt. And for that, I'm going to use Y38, Y35, and Y32. I'm going to start with my Y38. And start on her sleeve right here. And I'm just going to flick away from my sleeve where the seam is right here. Same for this side. I want to flick away from that seam and up here onto her shirt towards the top. And then I think I will do each side of her shirt here. And then I'm going to go with E35. Leave a little bit of white for our last color. Work my way around this little flower. And then next we're going to do, whoops, drop the cap, Y32. We're just going to fill that in. And as long as we got these colors out, I'm going to grab Y35 and I'm going to do the center of this flower. And then the collar of his shirt. Since it's just such a little area, I'm just going to fill it all the way in. Next, let's work on the flower on her shirt, and for that we're going to use RV32, RV11, and RV10. So I'm going to start with my RV32. And I'm just going to brush away from the center of my flower and add a little bit of color in each petal. And then I'm also going to use this color up here on her shirt collar. So I'm going to put that on there. And then for the small stripes on her pants, I'm going to do these in this color. And I'm going to grab RV11. And then RV10 to fill it in. And we're also going to use these colors for this bow on the package. So I'm going to grab RV32. I'm going to fill in the center of the little bow. And then for each little bow, I'm going to give them a couple little swipes. And then I do the little wrapper right here. And then RV11. And RV10. And if you wanted to add some more shadows in, you just grab your RV32. And I'm going to just add a few streaks back on there. Now let's do the rest of her pants, and for that we're going to use G00, G000, and BG000. I'm going to start with my G00, and we're going to brush on each side of these cute little pants. Let's do the middle. Leave a little white space there in the middle of each side. And then I'm going to take my G000 to fill it in. And then I took BG000 just to give it a bluish cast and went over the entire area. Yeah. Next, let's do the package. So again, I'm going to start with my G00. And let's do some shadows down where the ribbon's at. Whoops. And if you color on the little hearts, it's not going to matter because we're going to color those red. So don't stress if you color right over the top of them. Okay, I'm liking that. And then G000, I'm just going to brush over that line and fill the rest of the area in, just like we did for her pants. And again, don't worry about those hearts. You can go around them if you want, or you can just go right over the top. And then you take BG000 to fill that all the way in, just to give it a blue cast. Sorry if you hear my husband downstairs. He's watching my granddaughter Lexi so I can shoot the video today, and I don't know what they're doing, but it requires yelling and screaming evidently. Let's move over here and do his pants now, and for that we're going to use BG 97, 95, and 93. We're going to start with our 97, and let's give each one of these cute little suspenders, or these overall, a little dab on top of the bow. And in between the bow right here, I'm just going to fill that in. It's such a little dinky area. And then for his pants, it kind of bumps in right here, so I'm going to give that a little bit of a shadow, like this. And then of course we're going to go down the middle of his pants. And I'm going to go underneath the package, and then I'm going to brush in on each side of his little, whoops, I should probably brush in a little bit more up here. Each side of his coveralls here on his legs. And then same for this side. It's got a little bump in right here. I'm going to go ahead and give that a little bit more of a bump. Now I'm going to grab B95. And we're going to fill this side in. And if you get some on his shoe, we're going to color those black. So again, it's not going to be a major deal. I would try to avoid it, but if you get some on there, it's not that big of a thing. It'll just be a little bit darker color underneath. And then B93. Oh, I guess I should have done the top up here. So let's grab our B95 again. Go up here and add a little bit to each of his little coverall straps. And then B93 to fill that in. Let's hop over here and do her shoes now, and for that we're going to use E47, E44, E43, and E42. I'm going to start with E47, and I just want to add a little bit of shadow, so I'm going to go along the bottom of this shoe over here, about like that, and right here she's got a little dip in her shoe. I'm going to color just above that little dip, and then same for this side. I want to do just along the bottom of her sole, and I think I'll do just a little bit on this side. And then that little dip, and then I'm going to grab E44, and we're going to bring that, I'm going to cover up that dip and bring this color around the front. Let's connect to our little dip on this side, fill in the sole. I'm going to do this side over here just to add a little bit of shadow. And then E43, let's fill this in, and we're going to leave a little bit of white right there for our last color. And then E42, I just go over the entire thing. Now let's skip over here and do his shirt, and for that we're going to use C0, and I just used my C0 and just added a little bit of shadow right next to suspenders and along the top of the package, and then right along this bow, and I'm just using the top of my pen, and I left a little bit of white on each side. Then we're going to go down here and we're going to do his shoes, and for that we're going to use C9, C7, C5, and C3. I'm going to start with C9. And like the girl shoes, we're going to add just a little bit of shadow. So let's go right along the sole here. Same for this side. Then we're going to grab C7. And if you don't use these pens very much, if you don't want them to blob or they seem really wet, take the other end of the cap off so that that doesn't make a big old blobby mess on your paper. And then C5. And I'm going to pull from this side too, so I can darken it up and just leave a little white spot. Same for this shoe. And go underneath of his pants all the way. And then I'm going to fill it in with my C3. And I didn't worry about the shoestring showing. I just colored right over the top of those. Let's do these little hearts next, and for that we're going to use R39, R37, and R32. So let's do R39 first, and I'm just going to give each little heart a little dab of color. And then R37. And then R32 to fill them in. And when I got done doing the card, I put some Stickle Stardust on top of each of these little hearts. I also did our little flower for her shirt with some stickles. Okay, so that leaves us with this cute little balloon. So we're going to use the same color, so I'm going to start with my R39. Let's give it a little bit of an indent there. And then this side, let's go, and I'm going to make a line first so that I can lay my pen down without going outside the lines. So now I'm going to go along just to soften a little bit. I want to brush, kind of like a little check mark. So I'm laying my pin down and flicking away from that line. So as I move my pin away, it's getting smaller. Next, let's do R37. And again, let's flick right over the top of that. And we need to flick over this to soften that edge. And I'm going to bring this line all the way around on this side. Connect the dots. And let's go with R35. I'm going to soften that edge, so let's go along that side. And actually, I think I'll go around this dot a little bit. And let's connect these dots. And then grab R32. I'm going to fill in this little shiny area. And I want to fix that little shiny spot a little bit more, so I'm going to take my R35 and get the paper wet again. And then grab my R32 while it's still wet and pull it into that little spot. So that'll soften my line a little bit better. Zoom out here. So there is our Millie and Milo all colored up, and they turn out cute. And again, here's the finished card. And this stamp set also comes with the sentiment, so that's always nice. So I hope you had fun coloring with me today. If you have a question, leave a comment down in the box and I'll get back to you. Otherwise, we'll see you next time. Have a great day. Bye.